Hi there, last month we showed off the PS4 outside its glass casing, and lo and behold, Microsoft has sent us an Xbox One to show you outside of its glass casing, so let's have a look at it. If you look at the design here, it pretty much looks like a 1980s Betamax video recorder. On the front here, you've got a CD slot for your Blu-ray DVDs and your video games, and the start button is over here. On the side, you've got a super speed USB port. This color, by the way, is liquid black. That's what they're calling it over at Microsoft. If you look at it on the top, you've got a matte finish on one side and a huge vent on the other. The main difference between this Xbox One and the one you'll buy at retail is that hopefully the one that you'll buy at retail won't have these big white ugly stickers on it. On the back, you have a series of more vents. Your power cable socket there, you've got an HDMI out and an HDMI in. You've got your optical cable slot. You've got two USB slots there. You've got the slot for Kinect, which apparently is now optional. And you've got your IR out port, and you've got a LAN cable port, and finally you've got this mystery port over here, which looks like you could connect a printer to it. That's what it reminds us of. We don't know what it's for because Microsoft haven't told us. And if you go online and you look at Major Nelson's unboxing of the Xbox One, you'll notice that that unit doesn't have this port there at all, which means this could be something for games developers. It's beyond my pay grade. So it's fairly square, it's fairly large, it's fairly heavy, and it looks like it's intended to be stored underneath your television like this, because when you pop it onto its side, it looks rather unwieldy. Now, unlike the PS4, which was smaller than the machine that preceded it, we brought in an Xbox 360 to compare these two, and the Xbox One is actually way bigger and way heavier, and also can't obviously be stored on its side. Okay, this machine was sent, obviously, with a controller, and this is what it looks like. This is the new Xbox One controller. We've actually got in an Xbox 360 controller, so you can compare the two. They look pretty much the same, but I tell you what, hold them in your hands, there is a palpable difference between the pair of them. First of all, this has got a much smoother matte finish. It fits more snugly in your hand than its predecessor. The triggers feel incredibly solid. You can't even feel the springs behind them. And obviously there's the masses of improvements that they've made to this controller, including the rumble filters, which unfortunately aren't on, but we have played with it before and we do know they exist. The face buttons are far louder than the last controller. You'll also notice that the battery pack is flush against the controller. In the old controller, you needed that. Whereas the new battery pack, let's open it up and have a look inside. Presumably you'll be able to get a rechargeable pack for that. On the front, you've got a micro USB port, which presumably you'll be able to use it to recharge this controller, much in the same way the PS3 does at the moment. And at the back, you've got the bespoke headset slot. And here's something we've just noticed by holding this up and waving it around under these very, very bright lights. The front panel here seems to be infrared. You can actually look past that and see the red lights behind the actual surface. You'll also notice that the start and back button have been replaced with a menu button and an apps button. I mean, ultimately, this is a very well-crafted piece of gaming kit. And of course, there are features in this that we can't show you because it's not plugged in. But, you know, we've used it at E3, and the rumble triggers, for example, give a far better sense of immediacy in the game than its predecessor did. And then there's the last piece of kit we have to show you, which is the new Kinect module, which, in keeping with the design aesthetic of its parent console, is both matte finished and square and filled with vents. It's got vents on both sides and the rear and even the top. On the front of the Kinect module, you've got an Xbox logo, which may be a power stud, it may be not, we don't know. But we do know you can turn Kinect off if you want to. You've got the lens over here. You've got what seems to be a microphone bar right at the front. The new Kinect module is hinged, it seems. It looks like a giant paperclip, really. And seeing as we waved the Xbox One controller around in the light and found something new, let's try it with this one. That does look red, doesn't it? Looks like some sort of infrared bar, or maybe I'm just starting to see things.